Hello, 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 everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. It is going to be absolutely amazing here with the one, the only Dr. Judy Wright. So excited to have this amazing woman here with me tonight on the You Still Can podcast. My name is Tanisha L. Bowman, and I am the host of the You Still Can podcast because I am still canning of all cans. And I thank God that He allows me to be able to say that I still can. Through Him, all things are possible. And it is a blessing to be here tonight with such an amazing woman. You are going to be excited to hear her story, to hear her journey. So make sure you go ahead and you share this live. Make sure that you share it out to the social media world. And Dr. Judy, I just want to ask you really quick, is everything clear here? Because it looks a little slow on my side, but is it moving clear? Can you hear me clear?
So I can hear you clear. There's a little bit of a delay, but I can hear you clearly.
Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. And to our amazing audience, as you come in, y'all let us know the same thing. Make sure that all is clear and that you see and hear us well. So thank you so much for joining. So listen, you all, do us a big favor. Share this out to the social media world. Okay, this is going to be absolutely amazing. This is Dr. All right. Judy Wright. Absolutely love her. We've had a chance to interact a little bit through another organization and, of course, through social media. And you are definitely going to want to hear what she has to say. You're going to be reminded tonight that you still can. So drop in the comments and tell us where you are chiming in from. We want to know where you're coming from, all of that great stuff. Tag a friend that'll tag a friend that'll tag a friend. Because in about 15 seconds, we about to go all in, okay? Dr. Judy, you didn't know I was a rapper, did you? I didn't tell you that part.
Right. You sure didn't. Many talents.
Absolutely. So with that being said, let's see here. This person say they're trying to get in, so we're gonna make sure they can get in. Make sure they can get in. All right. So, Dr. Judy, let's go ahead and get this thing started. Tell us, who is Dr. Judy? We want to know who you are.
Yes. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, Tanisha. I've been following you for a while, so I thank you so much for having me here. So I am Dr. Judy Wright. I am a family physician by trade, but I also am a wellness and performance strategist. And I help professionals, especially when they're feeling overwhelmed, as we can in this particular environment that we are in, to prioritize their overall well-being so that they can sustainably elevate their performance, right? And we do this through proven stress management and self-care strategies that each person can have their own strategy because we're all different, right? So it's important to have a stress management plan, and I help and empower professionals to do that.
That's absolutely amazing because I'm pretty sure that your studies and your practice and your skills as a doctor was a plus for you to be able to go into this, because I'm so sure that you've seen so much in practice.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much that goes on. And when you think about wellness, a lot of people think that it stops at the whole physical. And maybe sometimes they will drop in the mental, but they're thinking depression, bipolar, anxiety, right? A lot of people don't think about how, when you're talking about wellness, you need to talk about the whole person and what it takes to be you, right? So there's physical, there's mental, emotional, relational, spiritual wellness, even financial wellness. All of that goes in to how you're feeling and how well you're able to perform. So it's not just at work, it's performing life. And you want to be able to do that at a high level, feel good about it, and be able to sustain it. Because there's a lot of things we can do, but can you sustain that? So
Yeah. Wow, that's an eye opener, especially when you say financial. We just don't realize how all this stuff goes hand in hand, and it's so important to take care of
Absolutely.
yourself. So that was an eye opener for me. All right, so I do have some questions for you tonight, besides who is Dr. Judy. And before we get off, I want to make sure that we're able to tell everybody how to follow you. We're going to tell them about your exciting book and all of that great stuff. All right.
Yeah.
So I want to know, Dr. Judy, what challenges did you face growing up as part of an immigrant family, and how has that shaped your drive to be successful?
So, I am so proud to come from an immigrant family. Um, I think that my family was, as many families are, very driven as to what they knew. And that's where the limit comes in. For my parents, education, education, education. But they only knew what they knew, right? So, having the foundation is important, right? Because they wanted to know what was going on. They didn't always know how to help, but they made sure that they were engaged. So I always did well in school. And my friends used to be like, why do your parents even bother? Right? Because they gonna let me know. Ain't no room to be messing up. They gonna let me know. We coming and we better hear it's all good across the board. Right?
Wow.
Like, so but they only knew what
Wow.
they knew. So I just said to somebody the other day, Tanisha, I didn't even really know what an HBCU was, right? When I was applying.
Wow.
I didn't know what I didn't know what that acronym I didn't know what that was, right? I did not go to an HBCU,
Wow.
but I definitely had, right, because that wasn't necessarily my culture. So
Mm.
there's things that my mother tried to protect me from, and in some cases, I missed opportunities, and I don't blame her. I don't. But in some cases, I missed
Yeah.
opportunities. They
Yeah.
only knew what they knew. So, um,
Right.
those were some of the
Right.
struggles. It made a harder, or you know, I definitely had to go into the box of you gonna need to figure this out, right? And I think coming from that background, growing up in New
Mhm.
York, I came from a mindset of you gonna need to figure this out, right? And that's that.
Mhm.
Sometimes so, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, all right, awesome, amazing. And really, what I heard you say there was that you received a strong foundation.
yeah,
Your parents didn't play about education, they stayed on you. And I think that we forget how important that foundation is a lot in our lives. But when you have a strong foundation, it helps push you up versus sinking every time a storm or something comes your way.
right. And what it is you may not get everything, but you're going to get enough and get the tools to find the rest out. Like and that's what they push me to do. Let's find the rest out. you know, and so that's what I
Wow.
did.
Wow.
And I also think I grew up with certain values. Like I knew that I could have gone to a expensive private university, which that would have been
Mhm.
great. But because I grew up with certain values, I chose to go to state university, because I knew I was going to go to medical school, and medical school was going to cost,
Wow.
and I was going to have to take out loans. So
Yeah.
it was my decision to go to a state university. That was my decision, and that's what I did. But that was in part because of values that I grew up with.
Yeah, yeah. I absolutely love that. I was When you were saying that, I was trying to decide which one of these would be good for you. And I think it's God is my strength and my power.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that really sums up what you just said, because now I don't know, much about medical school or any of that. And we'll talk about some of that, but I never would have thought going to a state, a basic college and then yet ending up in medical school, but you went there already knowing the plan that God had for your life.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you didn't have to go anywhere and to the big name schools and all of that great stuff. You had a plan, you had a purpose, and you followed it. So I
Absolutely.
love that. I love that. I love that. All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you, even down to when I picked my major. Most people that were going to medical school at the time, they were biology majors. They were some kind of science major. I love
Hmm.
sociology so much. I took a class and fell in love with sociology and became a sociology major. And everybody's like, "What? How are you gonna get into medical school as a sociology major?" It's gonna happen, right? And even in that,
It's
because
gonna happen.
sociology is the study of people, and I wanted to understand people because people were going to be my patients, right? So I really wanted to
That's
understand and be able
right.
to interact and understand the importance of going back into the community because representation matters. And I wanted to be a not only a face but a person that they can trust and build a rapport with to be part of their team to keep them well. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's really good. Okay, so I want to ask you, how did facing health challenges? We discussed a little bit that you faced some health challenges in 2020. So how did that change your perspective, and what role did faith or belief in yourself play in your recovery?
woo wee. Now that's a good question. Yeah, so I let's just jump right in. I got diagnosed with breast cancer in 2019. And prior to that, Tanisha,
Mm,
I was not taking care of myself. Let's just call it what it is. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've had this conversation with several doctors. We're not really taught to take care of ourselves. We are taught to take care of others.
wow.
We're not taught to
Yeah.
take care of ourselves,
Mm,
right? And then you get married, and then you
mm,
have children,
right.
right? And so that's what I had gotten good at, taking care of patients, taking care of my family, taking care of things at work, because by the time 2019 rolled around, I was already out of direct patient care and I was working in corporate. And so I wasn't really taking care of myself. And it was by grace of God again. My one of my best friends, her childhood friend was dying from cancer, and I remember
Mm,
I had this little party for my godson because I'm her son's godmother, and she said she told everybody there, you all need to promise me that you will go to the doctor and take care of yourself. And at that time, I was supposed to have scheduled a mammogram. I hadn't had one in over 2 years. And I was supposed to schedule one because
wow.
incidentally, a month earlier, the doctor had found a lump. I pushed that off. Like, think about that for a moment. The doctor found a lump and I just pushed it off and said, "Yeah, I'll schedule that mammogram." So when she had us make that promise, I was like, "Oh yeah, let me schedule this mammogram." And so it's 2024. 5 years ago this month, I went to get this mammogram, and my 30-45 minute
Wow.
appointment turned into a 2.5 hour appointment, and that's when I knew something's not right. Something's not right. What did this do for me? Even in that moment, I was thinking of my
Mm,
children, my husband, my mother. How am I going to tell my mom? My best friend who was already dealing with somebody that was dying actively, and so
mm,
what? Even in that moment, I wasn't thinking about myself. I was thinking about everybody else. But in 2020, when I had to have surgery and I had a double mastectomy, I was forced to sit down. I was forced to sit. And I always tell people, if you keep saying, because so many people are like, I don't have time to take care of myself, or I don't have time to go to the doctor. If you don't sit down, God will sit you down. Keep saying you
mm,
can't sit down. God will sit you down. And I was forced to
mm.
take medical leave to go for the surgery to recover. And while I was sitting down recovering, because my family and friends were adamant, you better not even think about lifting a pencil, right? Which was hard for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I while I was sitting down, I had time to think, Tanisha. I really did. I really had time to think. And the first question I had to ask myself was, how did you get here? How did you get here?
Mm.
You know, where
Wow.
you had breast cancer and your blood pressures weren't doing well, and you weren't doing, I had let my boundaries slip, and I had not been taking care of myself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. None of that was happening. And that's when I realized you
Wow.
need to do something about that. And so I took that time to not blame, oh, the stress is over here and the stress is over there. I didn't blame anybody. What I did was I took accountability. I took accountability.
Yeah. 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 That's I mean, you said a whole lot. Then and I know as doctors, I think you were mainly saying as doctors, you take care of everybody else, you don't take care of yourself. And I see that in women so much, period. Like we're always on the back burner. We're always super mom and super wife and super woman for everybody else, super friend, super auntie, super church member, super everything for everybody else, but we neglect ourselves in doing so.
Yes,
And in the
ab-
midst of doing so, with neglecting yourself, you can't be anything for anybody.
absolutely. I am a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
proponent
yeah,
of putting yourself first. I really am. And I know to some people that sounds like, "Hey, you mean put that kind of sounds selfish?" Okay. Put yourself first. You have to. You have to.
yeah. Yeah, because even too when I hear that, because I hear a lot of people, talk about the stress and anxiety and the depression, and I think all of that comes from taking care of everything. It's a trick of the enemy, first of all. Let's make that clear. But it's taking
Oh,
care of everything else, except for because you don't even get to feel emotionally when you're trying to take care of everything else.
everything else. You can't even think straight. Like I had been saying to myself, like in 2018, I know there's something else I'm supposed to be doing, probably in addition to what I do, but I knew there was something else. And I
Yeah,
literally said these words, but I do not have the time to sit down and figure it out. And that was
wow.
it. I didn't have the time. So in 2020, I made it a big thing to reconnect with myself in a number of ways physically, and I saw changes immediately. My blood pressure went to normal without medication.
Wow.
Right. Just
Wow.
the way I interacted, I wasn't as aggravated as I normally would get. Even yesterday, one of my friends said, the stuff that's happening is very aggravating, and you're just sitting here chuckling. I said, "What you want me to do?" It's like I just breathe. I just breathe it out.
Yeah.
So, so,
I love it. I love
yeah.
it. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. All right. Can you share a defining moment when you realized that you needed to pivot from direct patient care to corporate health care, and what led to that decision? Because I mean, now you went to school and everything, and this is what you were going to do, and then you decided to pivot.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be honest. Within 2 years of taking care of patients, I knew I wasn't going to last. And it wasn't the patients. It really wasn't. It was
Wow.
everything that was surrounding healthcare, and being able to take care of the patients the way the way that I knew how. I wanted to be able to work
Right.
with my patients and not have my hands tied by all this red tape, you know. And that was
Yeah.
becoming more and more and more difficult. And I said, when I decided at 8 years old that I looked up to my doctor and I was like, I want to do that. The system, I know I didn't know that much about the system at 8, but the system wasn't like this. So I knew,
Yeah.
but that was difficult for the same reasons that you said. I trained for this. I wanted to work directly with the people. Um, so what was I going
Right.
to do? And I eventually just sought out. what else could I do as a physician? And I'm a medical director that works with a national insurance company. That's eventually what I went to. Different place than I work now, but that's eventually what I went to. And you know what I realized is I still can affect the lives of patients just on
That's
a
good.
bigger scale.
That's good.
So and
That's
that's
really
why
good.
I, was able to make that shift and that pivot. And I'll say this also, I had my son and realized, yeah, no, I do not want to be doing late nights in the office. I do not want to have to try to figure out who's going to be there because I'm working late and my husband had to go into work. And I did not want to have to do that anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
these children will make
Mm-hmm.
a big
Yep.
difference in your thought process. Yeah.
That is so true. And that's good because I mean, the doctor call out sick, who's going to take care of the patients? The doctor needs to be off to spend time with their child or go to events. And, I know you have some time, but overall,
Hmm.
it can be pulling. So now who's going to take care of the patients?
Right. Right.
So I think I definitely understand what you're saying. And what I heard you say was that you just followed your purpose, your calling, exactly what it is that God wanted you to do or what he wanted you to do next. Your time was up there. And now it's the time to continue to follow God versus get comfortable. Because let's keep it real, Dr. Judy, doctor. So, I know the funds were okay as a doctor. All that part was great. But if you get stuck on just the money, sometimes you lose your purpose.
Yeah. And it's so funny. I love how you said that because I also tell people there's so much that goes into being a doctor that if you went in for just the money, you're going to be disappointed because it's a lot of work. But each movement that I made, I didn't necessarily know what it would lead to, but I was led to do it, so I did it. Every move that I made, I was
So
led
you
to
did.
do it, so I did it. That
Yes.
year after my son was born, I probably moved jobs 4 times. This was unlike me, but I think everyone was supposed to
Mm,
to the next one, and
right.
so
Right.
you listen and you have faith and you just move.
Right. That's good. That's really good. I appreciate that because you saying that because I know sometimes, especially in this social media world, which y'all, Dr. Judy is a social media influencer also. I forgot to tell him that part, didn't I?
Oh,
Um,
influencer.
That's our inside joke, right? But she is, y'all. She is a social media influencer. You're gonna follow her for we leave because she shows and she does some amazing things with her social media platform. But I just like I don't know if you know how much I appreciate you talking about that because that really dissects you still can. You still can do what you're called to do and and walk into your purpose and walk away from something that may be a little bit more comfortable or even a little bit more profitable because the profit is still coming, the blessings are still coming. And you said, I'm trying to think of exactly how you said it. You knew it was something leading you. So to me, I hear you saying that you have that connection with Christ. So you knew Christ was talking to you. It was just up to you to answer and do exactly what it is that he wanted you to do.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't acknowledge it, but you do know you're being led. When I left,
Yes.
when I started my transition out of direct patient care, yeah, I was making less money as I started the transition. I mean, I make more money now, but you go with it because it it feels right, and whatever it is you hear, whether you go in prayer and you ask, or you go with gut and instinct, you know, trust, trust. I think is a big thing. Trust.
Yeah, that's good. I think about the runners. When runners are running a race and they get ready to get in position and they take the one foot or the one leg and they put it back before they go forward.
Mm-hmm.
and then they go forward and take off.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I heard when I just heard you say that. Yeah, yeah. It might have pushed you back just a little bit, but it put you in position to take off and go
Yeah.
for it. And I absolutely
Absolutely.
love that. Absolutely love
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, absolutely love that. All right. So let's see here. I have another question for you. Can what advice would you give to a woman, especially physicians? Okay. What advice would you give to a woman, especially physicians who feel overwhelmed and unsure of how to balance their personal and professional lives?
Yeah. I would say the first thing is become more aware, start to take stock, evaluate your situation. Because a lot of times it's kind of like um your money. You could think you have more money in the bank than you do. Right? um, but you got to keep an eye on that. You got to keep an eye on that thing because every little bit, every little Amazon purchase, every little, it starts to hit, right? And you're like, wait a minute, what happened to all my
Yeah,
money? Right? So
you
sometimes,
talking to me. You talking to me.
so sometimes things look worse than they actually are, or maybe they are bad, but they look like
Mhm.
it'll never be better, and it can be. You know, Start to take stock
Yeah.
of why you feel that way. What triggers you, right? Because
Mhm.
your stress triggers, the
Mhm.
things that's making you overwhelmed are on the outside, how you react to them and how long you allow them to affect you is the inside work, right? So really start to take stock of that,
Mm.
and incorporate a mindset shift. And that's not something that happens overnight.
Ooh.
That's talking to yourself.
Mm-mm.
That's reading. That's praying. But start. Like your podcast, you still can, right? Like you got to keep telling yourself that. And some days it's gonna be easier to tell yourself that than other days. But you got to start talking nice to yourself, because when you get in that overwhelmed feeling, it's
Mm.
so easy to talk negatively, and everything starts to take on this
Yeah.
negative bent to it. So you have to
Yeah.
counteract that with more positive talking, and then really sit
Mm.
down and figure out what is necessary so you can prioritize. We can do a lot,
Yeah.
we can't do it all, and we
That's
often
good.
do more than we actually have to do. Some of that stuff that we're doing is
Mm.
busy work. Some of it is busy
Ooh, you
work.
better say it.
If you're able to delegate, yes, I stopped cleaning the bathrooms the moment I found out I was pregnant with my first child. When my husband and I
Exactly.
talk
That's
money,
good.
yes, when my husband and I talk money, at this point, I don't even have to say, he says, I know, Ivana's not going anywhere. You doggone Skippy. She part the family. Okay? That's the cleaning woman. She part the family. She ain't going nowhere.
She ain't
We're not doing
going
that.
nowhere.
We're not doing that. So if there are things that you can delegate out, do so. But the other part that people miss out,
Yeah.
there are things that don't need to be done. Not only don't need to be done by you, they don't need to be done. Kick it.
Ooh.
Kick it.
I hope
If
y'all
it
hear that.
needs to be done, kick it. If it needs to be done, but it doesn't need to be done by you, delegate it. And then you have what needs to be done by you.
Mm.
Make a priority list.
Ooh. That's good. That's really good. I hope y'all are listening. I know I'm gonna have to go back and watch the replay because that's powerful. That's very, very, very powerful. So I pray that y'all got something out of that. Because, like you said, you hit it on the point where we could just be so busy. Dr. Judy,
Mhm.
that is one of the things that I pride myself in. I make, they always say, oh, booked. I don't want to be booked and busy. I do
She's
not
like,
want to be
"Look,
busy
we're
all the
gonna,
time.
we gonna stop at booked. We're not trying to be booked and busy. That's not, I know, because a lot of people are trying to get out of it now, and I think that's a good thing. Hustle culture. Remember, that was like the big thing. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
hustler. I hustle. You can hustle.
Yes.
Hustle is a dance to me. Do the hustle. I'm not trying to do all of that. I'm not, I know I just dated myself, Tanisha. I don't want it. I don't want it.
I
I
don't
don't,
want it.
mm-mm.
Nope.
That sounds
I
stressful.
don't either. I listen when I tell you I love that. I mean, I love it because I got to the point where I start feeling like maybe it's just me. I don't know, and I know that I gotta, grind and I gotta do some things and I do, but I just put them into place because one of the things, Dr. Judy, that I don't do is I don't stress anymore. I don't have anxiety. And that's because of some things I went through in my past. But I realized how that was hurting and damaging me. And if I'm booked all the time and I'm trying to get here, there, and everywhere and all of that, it's too much. And you begin doing a bunch of nothing, which is what you said. Like like you just hit it right on the nail. So I think that is some great advice, ladies. And I pray that you are taking that in and listening. And Dr. Judy's not telling you to just stop and not make money. Yeah, you got to make money, but you just got to be smarter about this thing. I think overall, and even so, get with her because she's about to tell you how you can get with her, and she can help you in some of these areas.
Yeah. I just want to say one more thing. I think a lot of the times, Tanisha, we define
Yeah.
success on other people's terms, right? There's a lot of things that I said I thought I wanted that as I sat down while I was recovering, I realized, yeah, no, that's actually not that important to me. I don't actually want that. I actually want that. Right? And there was a lot of
Yeah.
limiting beliefs that was keeping me from that because that looked like what I was supposed to do.
Mm,
So, yeah,
that's
start to
good.
define
That's
success on
good.
your terms. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So at this time, I am going to ask y'all if you have any questions. Now is the time. I'm going to give you like a minute or two. If you have any questions for Dr. Judy, please post those questions in the comments. We would love to answer them for you. And while you're posting your question, I want Dr. Judy to tell us about her book. Tell us what started it. Why did you decide it? How can we get it? All of that great stuff.
Woo wee. Yes. So one of the things I felt I had in me was a book. And truth be told, originally my book was supposed to be a children's book about food allergies because my both my children have multiple food allergies. And I really know about dealing with food allergies. And
Yeah.
so that was
Yeah.
the original. And I think it's because even though it was my journey, I still was like, who wants to hear about what I have to say about that? But eventually, what came out was this book, and the book was called "Girl, Get Your Life Off the Fault Line: The Busy Professional's Guide for Mastering Balance to Shift from Overwhelmed to Empowered." And I did it as an ode to women because I'm a woman, I'm a professional, and I felt overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
multiple times, right? But I feel like this
Yeah.
last shift was the one. Like it was really like, sit down because this has happened more than once. Why? What is it that you keep doing
Yeah.
that allows that to happen? And so it really just goes into talking about mindset, talking about talking to yourself positively. I do have a chapter in there to talk about pivoting, and not limiting your pivot. Talking about you
Oh,
know,
that's good.
living in your purpose and your passion, self-care, boundaries. But okay, let me say it again. Boundaries, people. All right, I need everybody to have boundaries.
Hmm.
Boundaries at work. Yeah, because I know that people are like, but I can't just say no at work. Yeah, you can. I mean, it doesn't have to be like no, but they're nice. There are
Yeah,
different ways
yeah,
to say no and still get your no across. Okay. Boundaries at home,
yeah.
boundaries with friends, boundaries with people outside that may not know you that well, but they learn real quickly because you have boundaries. So your boundaries are there not
Yeah.
to be negative to other people, but to protect you, protect your energy, protect your light, protect your values, protect your goals. That's what your boundaries are there for. So boundaries.
Mm,
So when I wrote this book,
that's
um,
good.
it really was an ode to women. But I will say that the elements in this book, the steps you can take, is of value to anyone feeling overwhelmed, right? But I did write to women because we go through some things. We're expected to do a lot. We're
We
out
do.
here working, we're excelling, and
We
then we
do.
come home
Yeah.
and everybody looks at us like, what we supposed to do? So, you know, we shuffle a lot, and oftentimes when time comes, if there's something to be pushed off, we'll push off something to do it ourselves. And I want us to get much better about not doing that. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Okay. Do you hear
Okay,
me, Dr. Judy?
I can. Yes.
Yes, I can. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes, I can. It seems like it went out a little bit. It says, "Hello, church family. I don't know what to really say other than I need church congregation." Okay. So what we'll do with that is delete it. We got a troll. But trolls doesn't upset me. Trolls excite me because I let you know that you made it when people start coming to troll you, and we still pray for the trolls as well. So it is okay. But with that being said, tell us, and you might have said, and I might have missed it. Tell us how to get the book.
Oh, okay. So the book is on Amazon. You can it's right there,
Hmm.
but also you can go to my website and get the book, and it would be on
Hmm.
wellnesswithdrjudy.com/fault line. One word, fault line.
Okay. Okay. All right. So spell that out for him, Dr. Judy, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's wellnesswithdrjudy.com/fault line. F is in Frank, AULTLIN is in Nancy E.
Okay. Also, just like regular front line.
Fault line.
Fault line. Okay. All
Mhm.
right. All righty. I'm going to put this in here so everybody can know how to get it. Wellnesswithdrjudy.com/fault line. All right. That is how they can get the book. And anything you want to say, anything you want to leave us with tonight before we log off.
Oh, absolutely. I really believe in overall wellness. Even as a family physician, um, who was doing direct patient care, it's important to understand your whole self, right? When my sister when my sister says to me, I just want to do exercises to get this stomach down and get these arms down or something like that, I'm like, that's not how that works. You can't just do spot exercise. That's not how it works, right? You have to exercise. It's hard to be well just taking care of one part of you. So you can
That's
go to the
good.
gym, you can do good nutrition, and there's so many things, so many people out there to help you with that. Do not forget the part of your mental and emotional and even your spiritual wellness. Don't forget that part and understand the power you have to make that happen. Even with your physical wellness, I don't want anybody going out there and leaving it just in the hands of your doctor or the nurse practitioner or whoever is your health care provider. They're part of your team. You're the CEO of your health. You're the CEO
Hmm.
of your well-being, right? So they're part of your
Right.
team. You hold a lot of power and a lot of control, and want you to have the tools, the strategies, and that's what I talk about: tools, strategies, and even a plan on how to get better, be better, perform well long term. So that's what I do.
That's
I'm
good.
on LinkedIn. My handle is Judy Wright MD. I'm on Instagram. My handle is Judy Wright MD. And my website is wellnesswithdrjudy.com. Please, you can DM me, reach out. If you have a question, I do a lot of lives. And I also have a podcast called Balance to Excellence Show that you can hear where you listen to your
Oh,
podcast
love that.
on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Wonderful. So really, you all, the best thing to do is just follow her. And I did tag her handle in this description so that you can get her. And I'm going to put it again right here because if you are following her on social media, then you're going to be able to see all the amazing things she has going on, all the great links and everything to be able to get in touch with her. But definitely go ahead and get a copy of that amazing, amazing book. I am sure that you will not regret it. All right. So, with that being said, Dr. Judy, we thank you so much for being a part of the You Still Can podcast. I know that you are kind of,
Yeah.
traveling right now, but where are you originally? Where do you live?
Yeah, I actually live in New Jersey. I am originally from Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn, New York. I was
Yeah.
wearing my New York
All right.
t-shirt.
So, y'all,
Yeah. So,
damn. Okay, okay. So my first New York guest is on the podcast, y'all, and that is absolutely amazing. So grateful for that. So listen, you all, we are done as of today. Be sure to follow her. Be sure to pay attention of all the amazing things. Y'all know we have an amazing brunch coming up the end of this week. I want you all to have a great, wonderful, awesome, blessed night. Why? Because you deserve to, okay? All right. Bye-bye.
bye.
I think we're saying bye, Dr. Judy. You might want us to stay on a little bit more.